Right, what dictates the size of the feeder that I'm going to be using and the weight on the feeder? It's really important. And for me, it's pretty straightforward. We all have visions of we want to fish it as light as possible. And because of the silt on the bottom and things like that. So a lot of anglers, they have um, what they want to do is when it's silt to use a nice light feeder so it don't go into the silt. And then some anglers prefer different things, but it's straightforward to me. So when I'm catching little fish like this, you can see there, when I'm getting lots and lots of bites, and I don't want to really keep using a big feeder, then I use a small feeder. And what happens is, you use a small feeder like this one, and remember, the best way of catching fish is little and often. So little feeder with a few pellets on, catch a fish, catch a fish, catch a fish, catch a fish, and that's what you're trying to do. It's just like putting a little pot on. You feed, catch a fish. You feed, you catch a fish. You're not giving them a lot of bait. You're giving them enough to come to it. However, that's when you're catching lots of fish. What about when I'm fishing for one or two? When I'm fishing for an odd big carp, where you're not in all time, where you're not casting all time, then what I'm going to be using is a bigger feeder. You can get more bait on it. It's just a bigger feeder with lots more bait on it because you're going to be leaving it in longer. You're not having as many casts, and I want a big pile of bait there for that one fish to come in and hook itself on that. So when I'm fishing for one or two big fish, I use a bigger feeder than I will when I'm catching fish all the time. However, the weight is the one that I am really conscious about. I like a feeder with a bit of weight on it. I like to use a minimum, a minimum of 20 grams. I know lots of anglers that like 10 and 15. I ain't got a problem with that. That's the way that they fish. I don't. 20 and 30 and 40 are my three sizes. I like to feel the weight on the bottom. I'm not bothered if it goes in silt a little bit. And I think it's important. I don't think it goes in as much as what people say personally. But what I want to do, I want it to go. I want to feel it when I hit it on the clip. I want it to feel it when it hits the bottom, and of course, then the heavier it is, it's not going to move, and that's really important. The next thing that's important is when you're fishing to a ledge, whether it be there or across, you need a feeder with a bit of weight on so it doesn't run down. I know lots of anglers that fish up slopes with light feeders and they get drop back bites. They're not bites. It's the feeder moving down the ledge. So you have to put an heavier feeder on to make sure that it sits on the ledge and it doesn't move. Because if it moves, you'll not catch a fish, especially on a method feeder. So the weight on the feed is important to me. The minimum I will use is 20. I like to use 20, 30, and 40. I think that's really important.